I didn't hear something.
We're live.
Well, thank you all for coming to the meeting today. This is the Athens Justice and Memory Project. This team was assembled by the mayor to work on avenues of atonement through the Leonardtown resolution. We've been meeting together for 32 months now, making progress. So we have always taken a moment of silence. So let's do that today. Thank you. And this moment of silence is just to honor the memories of the residents of Leonardtown that have passed on. So you have, Cameron has sent out the minutes of the last meeting, which occurred in January 18th. Are there any corrections? If not, we want to go ahead and approve the minutes. Jan?
Yeah, all those who approve? Yes.
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 Okay. First off, we're gonna ask Stephanie to give us the progress update on the public art. Thank you, Stephanie.
So just an update is, I presented to the SPLOST 2011 Oversight Committee to review my proposal to, supplement given the current, public art budget with an additional $25,000, and they approved that, and it moved to the mayor and commission's consent agenda. And then I don't have it on my timeline, but it did move on and they'll vote on it. So that should be, confirmed for a $75,000 budget for art. So there's an update that. And then today I have brought with me a preliminary draft of some of the ways that I have worded the call for art. And I just want to say, like, forgive me, this is like a draft document for us all to look at together. And tell me what you think I should add and what you think is missing, or if I can work on phrasing. And I've come a couple different ways. This is maybe a little more pared down, but I will ask y'all we can look over this document, and I have it listed as draft. But a lot of it is boilerplate for like how we do public art, just like explaining some of the ways that people would submit their application to be considered, because this is a request for qualifications. So we're going to invite artists to apply and tell us what kind of art they make and show us their qualifications. And then from those submissions, we will select a few artists or teams of artists to present the selection panel with their specific proposals for this work of art. And they'll be compensated, each team will be compensated for the labor of creating that proposal. And that's listed in here. So really what I'm given is a Word document, and I've kind of done it like this on all these different pages. So there's plenty of room for y'all to write edits. I can also share this as a Word document. So you want to send me comments and I can edit it. So my intention is we can talk over this a little bit. You can see the ways I've described things based on like the ways we've talked through those experiences and what the art is about. My work here is really to be a conduit or an interpreter between what the AJMP and what people of Leonardtown want the work to be really about. And it is my job to communicate that to artists so that they understand it. This is my first attempt at that. This is not the final one. So so I'm asking for your edits and your feedback if I am going in the right direction. So please forgive any typos, but really we're going for like the content of the tone is correct. And I also have a place in here where I've asked, so I added some history, project history. I could really elaborate. There's a lot to say. I could give an entire timeline of everything from urban renewal through right up to the renaming of Leonardtown Lane.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. I did not add it in here because I say that to say that we don't typically, when we do a call for art, the art is usually like beautify and enhance this bicycle trail. It's it is nothing nearly like this complex or this sensitive or specific. So I can add lots of things. We can leave it as it is. I can add a timeline. I can add references to, I know that good artists that we hope apply will do a lot of their own research, like find a lot of the materials that are out there, but I'm open to hearing your thoughts and feedback if you think I should add those right into the call. And, so I do talk about the creation of the Athens Justice and Memory Project. I use just a lot of things like copy and pasting from our websites, because that is what we have written, and links to the full resolution and a link to the full proclamation. So like I said, I'm looking for y'all's feedback on sort of like the way I describe, and the terms that I use. And remember, I'm trying to be succinct, and yet the words should be potent to describe, so. And,
Are you gonna send us that so we can give you
Yes,
feedback?
I can. I brought printed copies, but we don't have to read that loud together.
Okay.
I would need to sit with it.
Okay, that's fine. And like I said, let me know if I'm headed in the right direction. If I'm not, if we have time for me to work on the words and make suggestions. Like, this is a group project and I am just like the collector of our efforts here. I also want to note that the attachments, you'll see a bunch of links for attachments. Right now, those are not attached to anything. I am going to collect the attachments and we will look at those separately. I feel like we'll look at those. The attachments are, here's like an aerial, schematic map of the site that the art will go, and it will have like specific dimensions. It has more like specifics like that, and I want to confirm a few things, but I'll have those the next time we meet. So I feel like we'll have some edits and feedback from y'all, and I will consolidate those, and I will have edits and those kind of like materials for y'all to review if we meet in May, if that is what y'all are available to do. I have that on my schedule for work with the Inclusion Office to update the AJMP on the call for art draft, graphics and attachments, review and discuss the timeline.
Do you have a timeline on when we need to get that back to you?
On this,
Because we need to have that so we can get it back.
that's a true story. I will put it in the email when I send it to y'all, and I'll work with Dr. Epps to make sure we agree on what that timeline looks like. So,
Right, we need to, if you send us something, you need to have us, okay, I need this back by this date, because if you don't, then people will be sending at different times, and you need to just say, I need this back by this date.
okay, thank you, Ms. Addie. So email draft, include time, deadline.
Right, getting it back, and if we have any questions, can we call you?
You can, yes.
Okay.
And I have, yeah. So I have the beginning here, and there's lots of room for improvement, and I'm anxious to hear from y'all about that. Do you have any questions immediately?
No, anybody else have any questions?
I'll look forward to reading it.
I look forward to reading it. And, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Epps, are you prepared to talk?
No, as far as the memorial marker goes, the design of that, we don't have a design. We are waiting for you all to let us know. The last conversation that we've had about signage, has been about Sweet Auburn, saying that, Sweet Auburn that's just a gigantic thing that just is not gonna be able to accommodate that. The last time, Stephanie was here, I think 2-3 months ago, brought in a marker design that was not, what you all wanted, the type of style. What we need from you all is to tell us what type of style you're looking for, right? And that can determine what exactly funding that we need for that. There's a lot of different signs that you can get, and how many signs are we actually doing? It's gone from 3 to 2.
We haven't
One.
decided on it.
Right, so that type of information and what exactly is going on these signs, right? We have to know that. There's one thing to have signage and have us do it. The Inclusion Office is not going to be writing the signage for
No.
you. We want y'all to have that, right? So you have to tell us what all it is. We can look into things. I found some things, some type of signs, if it's like those, interpretive signage that you see that's like a flat, I don't wanna say a table light, that you walk up to and can read.
Like a little
Informational
sign.
Yeah, informational, if that's what you're looking for. If it's historical signage, that goes through the state. But we need to know exactly what this looks like so that we know whether or not we have to go through a whole procurement process or if we can go ahead and do that funding on our side. But that's where we're at right now.
I think Jen, are you, okay, thank you. Any questions to Dr.?
I have something, go ahead and say what you were gonna say, 'cause you might get to my question. You might know what my questions are.
The, we never intended for your office to, with the wordings, that was never intended.
Okay.
What we had intended is what had, Jen Mice had talked about earlier, is to get the, not historical, because we don't want a historical to go through that route, go through the state or anything. We want our own signage, and we wanted to pick a type signage that she has talked about, for the last, 2 years? We want that signage, in that particular signage, in the shape that we thought about at Sweet Auburn. We want that type, and if a company can do it, then they can work with us, or we will find someone to work with us with the wording put on the signage. That's all we're asking. Now we can call, and I think Jen had called to Sweet Auburn.
Well, sorry, go ahead. The design company?
The design company, and had worked with them and talked with them, and they were willing to do some things to help. But with that, if there's no more questions, I'll just turn it over to you to talk.
Yeah, no, this all is really good, and it's been a couple months since we've met, so it's exciting to see that this is coming together. So I think the thing with the signs is that there has been a question on the table that we have not necessarily voted on, is now that we're working with a much smaller space, are we still trying to do 3 signs? I think I've made the kind of
Right.
informal recommendation on multiple occasions in here that it doesn't make sense to do 3 signs in that small
No.
area. So I think we're looking at one
One
art
sign.
installation, which you got the $75,000 for, and 1 sign. I don't think we want the traditional historical sign that the Historical Society writes, that we
No.
typically,
No,
they write their history, which is great. I think what we want, and what we had previously tried for, was an interpretive graphic design and signage firm. And we had that RFP that was sent out, and we just didn't get any responses. I think we just need to adjust that and scale it back for 1 sign. And I don't think we want to determine, is it flat or tall or skinny? I think we want, that's what we've always imagined since we got into this, is there will be a professional firm, and there'll be an RFP. We can work on the one and fix the one and tweak the one that was sent out previously, and say we need 1 sign, and it's whatever budget, $25,000 or whatever. I don't know what's reasonable, but that's what I thought we were doing, was an interpretive graphic design and signage firm call. I know there was, so I remember y'all proposed that we could do one of the internal in-house signs, and I appreciated that, like, creativity, that we could do something more straightforward that could be designed and created and printed in-house. But I don't think, I can't write the sign, I can't determine what the sign shape or size should be. We really need experts who understand both the content and the form of the sign.
right, and we need, what else we need is, when that's done, is when something goes out, we need to understand how much it's gonna cost.
Mhm.
And once we understand how much it's gonna cost, then we can use what was set aside, and we can, ask for additional money to get it done. So that's what we need. Now we can work with your office, if we, and with the work, we can give you all the information that we have gathered, and to get a, some cost, and so we can see what the cost will be.
Yeah, if you can, what we'll need is to send all of the files, what you're imagining. We can reach out to some agencies to see maybe a cost estimate around what it will actually be. Now, I will say if
For
we do,
1 sign.
yeah, for 1 sign,
Yeah,
but if we do reach out to them, I don't know if they're gonna be the ones, you all will have to
Sure.
determine what exactly, what signage, the text is gonna be on
Right,
that. If
we
y'all
have to-
have that,
No, the firm has to do that.
the firm will not do that. They will not.
The firm that we talked to, Sky Design.
But we cannot do a sole source. We don't do sole source here. We have to put it out. We
No, I
can't.
know. I'm just saying, they both crafted the shape and form of the sign and the content of the signs. We are not qualified to write a historical marker.
But I'm saying, when we go to a firm, we can't do a sole sourced thing. If we can't directly go to one company and
I know.
say, this is what we need to do.
I'm just.
So we have to go, so we have to go out.
Yes.
Now, when we go out to other places, they're not going to say, they may or may not, let me not say that they're not, right? I don't know what firms will do, but graphic design persons will not sit there and do more research on something that we're requesting them to do. They have to have some type of guidance on what does that look like. So we need to know, is this historical? Is it just dates you want on there? Is it pictures?
We can give guidance, absolutely.
Yeah,
That
that's-
text
that's
exists. I can, yeah, that text exists.
Yeah, but I'm not saying to put up a whole, model of it.
Gotcha,
But there
but we
has to
can't
be,
write the act, we need a public historian or interpretive signage firm to write. We can tell them what we want the sign to capture for sure, that we have that.
We'll get to what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I guess the challenge is, we were thinking 3 signs, so maybe we need to put our heads together and say, like, if we only have 1 sign now, what's our priority for its focus? So I can
Right.
absolutely get you.
I-
is
do
it,
that.
yeah, is it,
Focus
I do that.
of the content, like, is it the life in Town, or is it its destruction, or do we want to try to put it all on there? So we can definitely give the focus of the content, like the timeframe, the scope, what it should focus on.
right,
But like the actual text and graphics and shape of the sign, I really think has to be done by a professional firm that does.
no, definitely, that's,
Got it.
yeah, they'll do all that, but I just can't give them, hey, this is a blank tape.
Yeah,
Blank
yeah.
thing, create something for us, right? I just need to know what exactly that
Got it.
looks like, and that way we can then go out and see if there's firms out here, what are cost estimates? Because you
Gotcha.
may have to go back and say, hey, we
can
want to
do that.
request additional funding here.
Gotcha.
But I want you all to have that ability to do that, you know, and right now, we don't have the capacity to say, oh yeah, this is what the sign's gonna look
No,
like,
we-
it's
we don't
text,
want
and
to
so
do that.
that's what we need from you all, to
Got
go
it.
ahead and send that to us.
We can give you a scope or a
Um,
focus for sure. We can just. have a
yeah.
meeting.
We can come up and give you a scope. When do you need this?
If, you know, as soon as you all can, we can move forward. However, I do wanna bring up the point of, you have the art going, if you wanna coincide that, because what you don't wanna have is a sculpture, a art piece out there, and then a totally different type of
Mhm.
signage out there, to have it some type of mesh, you know, running both of these projects simultaneously, that creates a difficulty in making sure that they mesh together instead of going out there and it's two different pieces.
But we do need I hear what you're saying, but we need to know the scope of the work so we can know the cost.
Yep,
So we got to have that.
yes.
So I'm just asking, when do you need the information? for you?
As soon as possible, as soon as you all can get that information over to me. We are out on Monday for holiday,
Okay.
so we're closed down on Monday. But we'll be back. Next week is a little bit busy for us, but if you just send it to the inclusion
Yep.
office or send it to, Blake, you can send it to Blake directly or to both me and him. We can get that taken care of.
Yeah.
Well, Jen and I get together and we will craft something to send to you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, within like the next 2-3 weeks. if
Yeah,
as
I
long
think we
as
can
y'all-
probably get that to you next week. I mean, I could send you like maybe a short paragraph with just some bullet points, and, I mean, I think the idea is we just have to think, what do we want to prioritize now that we're going down to 1 sign?
Mhm.
And so I think we're on the same page from the beginning. I think when you were saying what needs to be on the sign, you meant more like, what's the focus? Whereas I was like, we don't know what's supposed to be on the sign, so, awesome. So I think we can just kind of just
We
say,
can get together.
yeah, and just say, this is our focus.
Right.
And again, my understanding, is that these interpretive signage firms, if we give them a basic focus and enough information, they turn it into a public history memorialization story, like that's, and then we can work with them. I'm not just gonna hand us the thing and say, this is it, you know, we can tweak it and work with them. But anyway, so yeah, so we can just kind of narrow, because we can't do all 3 signs now, so
We'll just do one.
and we'll figure out where its focus is.
Because we're gonna do it on the right of way, if you all remember, for those who were not
Right.
part of, this, team earlier, supported this team earlier. We have to do it on the right of way
Yeah.
of Town Lane. So with that, we're limited with the space.
Yeah.
Because we have to put it on the right of way. So in whatever we do, we're gonna do it first class, and it's going to be really nice.
So
So-
before we go to the affordable housing, can I make some recommendations, which just that where I think we are with this whole process? I think I've all made them all in here before, but I'd like us to sort of work on them, because I do think the project is so different than where we were from the beginning, in the middle. We've come to 1 art piece led through our public art process, which is great, a call for a single artist. And now we're down to, 1 sign that we're hoping to get on a reasonable budget to sort of capture the history. So I can pass this around, but I really think 4 things have to be done. At this point, I really think we have to update the mayor and commission. They have not received an update on the scope of project change. They just haven't. I mean, I know that many of them understand that it has changed because I have communicated through my other work, with like the art stuff or just being a citizen, but from the JMP or the inclusion office or the city of the Athens-Clarke County, there has been no update that we are not doing the entire right of way with 3 signs and a participatory mosaic, to my knowledge. The last work session presentation was one you and I did in, April 12th, 2022. I don't know that that comes from us anymore now that this is being run by the different offices. I think it needs to come from the offices running the signage and running the art, but I just know that if I was a commissioner and I had approved something and then what was built was dramatically different, I would be confused.
I think that we're gonna have to wait and see, I would rather wait and see what we're going to do and how much the cost is.
Yeah, no,
I disagree. I disagree. I think the mayor and commission need to be updated as
certainly-
soon as possible.
I certainly understand the update that's needed for a person to understand what's going on. However, I do think that in order to update, there has to be concrete things in place,
I
right?
think that one art piece that's now a single artist, request for qualifications, and one piece of signage. It's gonna be an interpretive sign. I think at a minimum, that can be a 5-minute informational item. Because the thing is, this isn't what they approved, right? It's dramatically different. The art piece is not a participatory mosaic anymore. That's the last thing that they approved. We're not going to that. That is not happening. And then they approved 3 signs, and it was a walk of recognition, which is my second recommendation, is that whether it's this group or whoever, we need to come up with a new name because, what's his name? Athens politics nerd, he's still calling it a walk of recognition in recent.
I am too. I mean, it's in the document I just handed you.
It is
Because I
not-
don't have anything else to call it.
Exactly, so agreed. So we need to come up with a new name. Agreed.
And let me, before you go to the next part, I do want to clarify that they are aware because it is in our strategic plan and I provide quarterly updates within that, which they do get.
So
So there are updates that are going. There has not been a public wide
Okay.
update. However, I do agree
Yeah.
that there does need to be an update, but the next time so the update will come from the inclusion office.
Great.
It will come from us, but the only time that I would do an update, I don't go up there and update on things that are not solidified, right? If this is plans of, we're going to do this, we're trying to do this, it needs to be something that we already know. We have a plan for this, this is what we're doing, we're going forward, we have the RFQ ready to go, it's geared up, this is what they're looking to do, this is what it's gonna look like going forward. We have the memorial marker, this is what it's gonna look like, it's changed from this to that.
I hear that, so and I respect that, you don't wanna go up there and say, hey, we're wishy-washy about that, but I have a question though. Do you think it's fair though, that the last thing that they approved was something else, and then we go to them with our second approval with a completely different plan without getting any input from them? I mean, if you think that's okay and they're gonna be fine with that, then I am. I'm just thinking from the perspective of somebody who the last time was sitting there thought it was gonna be one thing and gave input, right? They gave input during the work session that we took into it, and now to have a new plan, I'm presented to them that's dramatically different with a different name, different focus, different set of people involved. If you're cool, if you think it's fine that we just go to them and say, this is what it is now, I'm thinking there's a piece where there's some input both from the public and our commissioners that would.
Right, definitely, and you have a commissioner that sits on this committee, right?
Isn't
You-
it?
But you do have a commissioner that
We
sits on.
don't have a commissioner,
That sits
and
here,
I will
right.
get with him.
If you're comfortable, because you're the one who gives the presentation of waiting
And
until
I'm-
there's
yeah,
a fully.
And I'm
formed
gonna answer some
idea.
questions, so I guarantee you, I'm not stepping into things, but definitely we will handle it on this side, but
Okay.
I guarantee you people are looped in on that, but I do value what you're saying, I definitely do hear you.
I think
And
the
there will
public
be
is
a,
confused and still expecting something very different, so I think the public piece is really important, because this is their money and it's also their memorial, so.
I'm gonna get with Commissioner Mike Handy when left today, and see what he
Yeah.
recommends.
Okay, that works for me, I just.
Okay.
I just want to add that there are other mechanisms that I know they're not as evident, but whenever we, like, even for so when I brought that to the
Oh,
SPLOST
yeah, the
oversight
SPLOST.
committee, like, there's a history and I have to update the history and we have to make it true. We worked on that together.
Great.
I worked on that with the SPLOST office people, engineers, like we collectively as staff. So there is documented and those are all made available to everyone who sits on the commission. And so, and there is the strategic plan. So we're both
Great.
attached to that. And so it's all documented. I know it's not as evident, but
Yeah.
there is all of that and it's accessible to them. And we can
So maybe when that
Continue
work
to
session
chat.
happens, there could just be a teeny tad of effort to explain the change, because I do think there was a lot of public investment in the previous idea. So, if there's just a way that it could be like, there are reasons it changed, and, there's there were right-of-way issues, there were issues with the initial conceptualization of the mosaic not actually being able to be implemented with our procurement, without an open call. So that would be very helpful so that, and again, I think the commissioners might understand that, but I do think, there's we have a lot, like people have followed this and are invested in it and invested in us as people who are working on a good memorial. So it'd just be good to make sure people understand, we didn't just say, never mind, like there were true sort of obstacles and obstructions that we had to pivot around, and this is where we are because of them.
Plus, and for the name, I think we can work on that.
Yeah, maybe that's you and I can
Something
something.
can get
A new name.
Put that together is a new name when we work on the verbiage.
I think it's gonna continue to create confusion if we keep calling it the Waterfront Condition, so we need to do
We'll
it better.
work on it
Yeah.
and send it to you.
Yeah.
About the apps.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, all of you all for what you're doing.
Yes.
Working together to get this done. It's been a lot of work, a lot of focus, but we have got to come together and continue to come together to move everything forward.
Yeah.
Okay?
Great.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, I'm gonna move on. Okay. Affordable housing. I am working with, the affordable housing was awarded to two different groups. Historic Athens is, and Hands-On Athens has the piece where, elderly home repair. So I'm working with that office to make sure that, that everybody that needs this, homeowners that are elderly, or get them where they understand and reachable to them. So we're gonna have meetings in the community about this. And the places where, in the, what you call them, town hall meetings in communities, in different places in the community, and probably on the radio station, just to make sure that those, homeowners that need elderly need their homes repaired, that they hear about this program. So I want y'all to know that. So community meetings will be going on. We're gonna start those soon.
It's just going through, you're holding them or you're working with the
I'm
agency?
working with, Historic Athens.
Okay, so, okay,
And Hands-On Athens. We're gonna be doing this together.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it by myself.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
working with them.
Yeah, no,
From a member from the Justice Amendment.
right, no, I just wanted to make sure, because I was like, just leave Blake in on that. So help
Oh,
him out,
Blake,
as he is the community education person in there too, so look.
I got you, but thank you.
Yeah.
Start meeting with us as well.
Okay.
And, so we have had several meetings, not several meetings, well, we have meetings to get, the wording and clarity together, and we haven't put up a strategic plan of when we're gonna go out, but I will look in on that. And then the second piece is the, First American Bank was awarded the down payment assistance for individual families that are looking for down payment on housing that will lead to homeownership. And I'm also working with them to ensure that money is used to people who really need it in Athens community. So we have had a couple of meetings and a long meeting today about that. So we had committed that the Justice Amendment team would follow what we had recommended. And that's what, it's important to me that is followed. We follow what is from what we said to implementation to make sure it reaches the right families. So that's what I want to give you all a report on, because sometimes, if community feels that the money doesn't always reach the right families when you have these type programs. And we, as the Justice and Memory Team, make this recommendation, we want to make absolutely sure it reaches the right families. Now, do you have any questions of me? And I would Blake in?
Just from an education side of, I think, one of the biggest things is the, how, helping educate the community on how to access this. What does this even mean that we're doing, right?
Right.
And I know that you're working with Historic Athens and all of that, but I think with having Blake too, he can help. With that town hall, that education piece, all of that stuff. What does this mean? How do people even apply for this? Where do they go? Even in both of these settings, that's what the inclusion office is here to do, is to provide that education and looping both Cameron and Blake into that.
Cameron and Blake.
From a-
They can, welcome to come along.
Just to have that equity
be
piece
there.
in there, to build that education of, within that town hall, that education of, hey, contact this person, you need these materials, what does this look like, what do these terms mean, right? Because when we start talking about money and finances and home things, my brain starts going, what are we
Well,
talking about?
they can be there. I mean, they can be there. No problem.
Yeah, so I mean,
I will
just,
contact them both and they can be in on the town hall meetings.
Yeah.
I give them the dates and the time and we look
Yep.
forward to seeing them there.
and if there's specific things that you need from us, let us
I'll
know.
let you know.
So Hattie, you're meeting with Historic Athens and First American Bank, basically just to sort of brainstorm with them, because
I'm brainstorming it.
because ultimately those institutions administer these programs.
Yeah, they administer, I'm there to represent the justice and memory and to make sure what I can do to help to make sure that the programs reach the families.
And was
Just
it
giving input.
great? That's awesome. So was the design of the grant, the program that was granted to them, did it require like a partnership with the city for like communication?
No, it doesn't require it, but she was just saying.
No,
that
yeah, I'm just
Educational
curious.
piece.
how
Right.
it works.
Because,
No, it doesn't require.
Right, and I think, it's just a good thing, and we can do it independently too, from an inclusion standpoint of
No,
how do you
that-
even
yeah, that's
understand
part,
that,
yeah.
right? The access, yes, now we have the funding,
Yeah.
but how do you even have access to this, spreading the awareness of
Yeah.
this, things like that. Though that is probably part of what they have to do, that was in
Yeah, they
their
have to
conduct of that awareness, but how do we do that? Is there other education outlets that we can utilize and all those things?
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
thinking about, where we're having these town halls, is it reaching the areas that we actually need?
Well, it's going to be reaching because we're working with the commissioners in those areas. So we're doing a pretty good job, but it hadn't got to that point for meetings yet.
Okay.
Thanks
We
for
just-
doing that work, Hattie. That's so fun.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
This is a big program.
This
big,
is in the
awesome, exciting program.
brainstorming phases.
Yeah.
And once we get down to the other phases where we're actually meeting and we're working with commissioners. Just wanted y'all to know that we are being a part of that because we said that we would, just in memory would be. Okay? Any questions of me? Okay. So we have definitely some things to do. Jen and I are going to work on the wording and we're going to work on the name. We're gonna do that and we're gonna get that to you. Dr. Epps, we're going to read, everything that Stephanie is sending out to us about public art and we're gonna give her feedback.
I'm gonna send it to you on Tuesday, if that's okay.
Okay. And then we're gonna give her feedback.
Yep.
We are going to have a meeting in May because we need to get this done. We have, we haven't had, meetings some months because we didn't have anything to discuss. But now that we have these things to work on, we need to be meeting to get it done.
What would our meeting date in May be? Are we on
The 16th.
16th, third Thursday?
Third
5
Thursday
o'clock,
at,
May 16th.
know what time, right?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay.
I'm happy to move it up, but I got my cause more confusion than help. This is
Okay, is there any other things that we need to discuss in this meeting? We've had a lot of awareness raised. I do want to report, just for information, this is that, the, money is being raised for the Black History Center. I just want y'all to know that. And we're delighted that money's being raised for that, and I would just mention that every once in a while, so you all know that money's being raised, and hopefully, we will, in 2025, we will have some type of ribbon cutting.
Great.
Okay,
Awesome, thank you.
if nothing else, I think we would adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Huh?
Yeah, now warm. It's kind of warm.